We'll start that over. That was an accident. This is this is yeah, that's not awkward. Uh, okay, let's remove outro, remove intro. All right, what is up? What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolfbrother Methos from the channel Frost and Fists, and welcome to this video. And tonight, of course, it's a solo stream. I'm painting by myself. Oni is at a painting competition tonight, having painted Gamora from Marvel Crisis Protocols for a local painting competition at his local hobby shop. And he may be dropping in towards the end of the stream to let us know how it went. And Brother Freak, unfortunately, is having an emergency with his home going on right now. He's tending to, and hopefully he's getting that sorted. Of course, we wish him the best of luck in getting everything sorted with his home. So it is me tonight. You are stuck with the Wolf Brother, and yeah, I'm going to be painting some more of my Imperial Guard. Lupus, my brother, great to see you, my friend. I'm painting some of my Imperial Guard, but before I move on to the Servants of the Emperor, I do have a little bit of Xenos Heresy recently completed on my painting table, and I'm really proud of this thing. So if you've seen any of my socials, it's been posted all over, even on our YouTube shorts. Boom. It is this guy. We'll drag that to the main. The Mega Dread. Freak printed this out for me in October, and I've been kind of chipping away at it since the end of October, and it's finally done. I'm really, I had to put, it's got so many engine components on it. I put my huge heat, or my super bright heat bloom on it everywhere, from the barrel here. I did the heat bloom, but I also did a bunch of the grodiness with the dirty down rust and streaky grime. You see some of that bloom effect here. It's got like so many exhausts on here, and they've all got the heat bloom effect, which I'm thankful for. When I do a big piece like this in my golf colors, black and white and metal color, rusty metal color, can start to look repetitive after a while, and I wanted to pick out a lot of details, and so I looked for opportunities to insert color, like picking out some of the teeth down here. Adding in the heat bloom, I think, helped add in quite a bit of color. I made sure to do all of the cables. So I've got some copper cables down here. I've got some red, like all over the legs, you'll see red cables. For the arms, I used yellow cables. I was just basically looking for opportunities to add in some color. Wolf Wraith, my brother, good to see you, my friend. How are you? How are you? I hope life's treating you well. I know you were working hard last I chatted with you. So, yeah, I'm really pleased with the way this big boy came out. And, it's funny. I really love this model Freak put together for me and printed out for me. When he printed, he was so proud because the barrel rotated. But these arms are just like heavy resin, and he pinned it all the way in. Like the pins go into about halfway into the body, but because they're just big chunky pieces of resin, the weight, I guess, broke the bond of the super glue. So it was sitting back here on my hobby shelf here, and I was in the living room one night, and I just heard a thud, and I came over, and this arm had dropped down, like fallen off the body, and I guess the pin had wiggled out, and the back end of this kind of had cracked, and the drum had come out. And of course, the only way to secure it all in place, I ended up using a piece of paper clip to kind of pin it together. But to really hold everything together, I had to use the baking soda super glue technique to kind of fuse it all in back into one piece, and so it doesn't rotate anymore, much to his dismay. Hello, brother Steve, and my brother G. Wah is up. G the Hypersapien did a video with G the Hypersapien. You can check out on his channel. That was a blast to do. Man, we must have chatted for like an hour and 15 minutes, but by the time I cut out some of our technical difficulties and just some of our random chatter and deliberating in the competition, we cut it down from like an hour and 5 minutes or so to like 35 minutes. It's kind of funny, but I just had a blast hanging out with him. You can check that out. He and I teamed up on his December competition that we judged together, and some really cool December projects turned in there. I still had the settings set from our previous collaboration, and so when I first logged into the stream tonight, the G the Hypersapien logo popped up and your intro popped up, and I was like, whoa, wait. Let's go back, do it again. Okay, there's our intro. Oh, it was kind of funny. So, yeah, I got this bad boy. Another thing I'm super proud of is the way the base came out. I put just a few different layers here. I added some coarseness, with some sand and super glue and baking soda to give a coarseness to the base, and mixed in some brown paint with primer, and just mixed all that together to create a ground cover because I was out of my Vallejo ground cover, and it came out looking pretty much like the forest ground cover that I've been using from Vallejo. So it's cool that I was able to kind of DIY the same effect that I still, just for easiness, I think for future orc products, I'll get some more of the Vallejo stuff to get some more of it. Use some cork here to build up kind of a little creek in the middle. And, it's a funny thing. No matter, even though like when I'm putting together the cork, I'm trying to use uneven edges and make more natural looking shapes to the edges. Somehow, whenever I'm done with them, they still just looks like a straight line. I don't know. But I'm kind of proud of how my little creek came out. There's like sandy bits in there, all that's painted in with the airbrush, and then I went back and I added some texture to it. I did like a layer of the water effect and some, then I sprinkled some sand in and stuff while it was still wet. Placed a few rocks, and just added some texture and stuff like that. Even towards the back of the creek here, it's a little fork where like a big rock kind of comes out of the middle, and you can see some of the water coming around. It's hard to see because of, the camera picking it up, but it's super glossy. It looks like water. It's not as thick as a traditional water effect, but considering I didn't use a water effect, I used this 99-cent bottle of clear nail polish, high shine nail polish. It came out kind of a treat. It looks pretty good. So I was pretty pleased with the way that came out. And of course, I drilled some holes into my basing and put in some plants and stuff like that. Put down the tufts, and then finally, as one of the last things, I put down some green tea leaves as scatter. So yeah, I'm kind of really pleased with the way that base looks. Fish, my man, happy Friday. Whoa! So I know I've been on a huge Imperial Guard hype lately, and I still am, but I am playing my orcs in a game in a week from tomorrow. And I've been chipping away at this guy since October, and I wanted to be able to take the Mega Dread to my upcoming game. And so, just because I know some people are kind of hot and cold on the Mega Dread, but I saw one of these in the 40K Orc community on Facebook posted around October. And when they said, "Oh yeah, you can find here's where you can find the file for it. It's a 3D print," I was like, "This thing is so cool and big and chunky. I gotta have it." And so, I managed to get my hands on a copy of the file. Freak printed it out for me towards the end of October. Yeah, I've just been kind of gradually chipping away at it since then. So I'm going to be excited to really, give this guy a go in its first game next week. Of course, we all know because it is the most recently painted thing for my orc army. It will be the first thing, probably even turn one before it gets to shoot. It will be the first thing to blow up. It will probably even self-destruct, explode on a 6, because we all know that's what happens with your freshly painted models. Always the first thing to go, right? So, yeah, we're really pleased with the way this baby came out, though. Freak, when he gifted him to me, said that he already picked out a name for him. That, this guy will henceforth be referred to as Big Chungus. So, Big Chungus will make his debut in battle next Saturday. Saturday, also, if you see Brother Atlas tonight, next Saturday, we're all getting together for an all-day game day at his place because it'll be Atlas's birthday. And so we're going to be doing a birthday game day at his place. I'm such a sucker for the Orc Walkers. I need them to bring the Drellwa back. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So Big Chungus is going to be like my centerpiece, but I'm kind of taking... I'm taking a core of Gaz and the Beast Nagas like I usually do. But yeah, so like the twist on the list, the seasoning, the sasheries I'm putting into the list. Because like I usually take about the same core of a list. It's usually like a good 20 Snagas and Gaz, or Snagas and I kind of rotate out my bosses because I like the Beast boss. I like, you guys have seen my war boss Garona, my female war boss, kind of stylized after the World of Warcraft orcs. Do I know that? You guys have seen my war boss on Squigosaur and my war boss on Bike. So I always try and rotate out which war bosses I'm taking, but it's always one of the big guys, 20 Snagas, and Squig Hog Boys and a Knob, because that's like the core. I just like taking the Beast Snag stuff. Hope he has a fantastic birthday and you all have an amazing day. Thank you, G, my man. I wish you lived close enough that you could bring your Wa too. But the seasoning, the sasheries on this next week's list is that I'm going pretty heavy on the Meccan. So I'm bringing the Big Chungus along with 2 Death Dreads, and one of them's just going to be all melee, baby. He's going to have buzzsaws all around, 4 arms, like he's freaking Machamp running around. Hey, thank you, Running Bear. Good to see you. Need to have a game. It's been a while. Yeah, you got to get one in, brother. And one of them is going to be taking 2 beefy arms and missile launchers. So the 3 of them are just going to be my big showcase. And supporting them, I'm going to have War Boss on Bike driving up the field behind them, using them for cover as they come up the field, and then he'll add some extra punch. And plus he'll give them all, some reroll. Some of the War Boss buffs. Hey, Roxy, good to see you. It's been a hot minute. We're getting ready to run season 2 of our local league, and I'm trying so hard not to run Snagas this year. I went all in on season 1. I don't want to do that to everyone. Snagas are just so good. Like, I kind of am kicking myself in the shins a little bit, because when the Beast Snagga box first came out, a guy at my local game shop offered me a great deal on 20 more Beast Snaggas because he bought like 3 boxes of Beast Snaggas or something like that. And so just one of the 20 out of the box, he pulled out the sprues and offered me 20 for like a great deal. And I said, nah, because at the time I had it in my head, like, it's funny. I said, I don't want to do a horde army. And I think what I had in my head at the time was the people who were showing up to tournaments at the time when it was like 120 boys or go home, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be one of those all infantry guys. I just want to go more elite and have a core of boys. And I'm like, I've already painted, like 25 or 30 regular orc boys plus my beast nagas. I was like, I don't see myself ever needing more than 50 boys. And so I turned him down, like kind of shut it down immediately. And he even was like, hey man, an orc's was never complete. Are you sure? Everybody ends up getting more boys than they think they need. And I was like, no, I don't want to be a horde guy. And man, after playing them for the last, what's it been, a year and a half since Beast Nagas came out? I freaking love Snagas. And if I could, I would replace all of my boys with Beast Snagas. They're just so cool, especially for what Goths do. And yeah, and so now I wish I had those, because now I do guard, and now I actually, part of it was I hate batch painting too. And like after painting orcs and guard, I've kind of gotten used to batch painting. And now I'm like, sure would be nice to have those extra 20, because yeah, it was a great deal on 20 Beast Naga boys. I think it was like, $20 and chip in on lunch, and we'll call it even. I was like, that would have been half price. I was 120 boys and tons of grots. See, now I'm okay with running hordes. Like now I'm doing guard, and I have been showing up with like 100 guardsmen lately. I'm leaning real hard into the idea of starting with a Def Killa War Trike and Killicans, but adding Def Copters and bikes later. Nice. You never have the army finished. That's that one, the lure that gets us all. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I have 40 Snagga boys, and definitely debating on adding another 20 so I could run packs of 15 if I wanted to go an all Snagga list. Nice. You could get 360 grots in current 40k. That would be nuts, just to see somebody show up with an all grot army. I imagine it's like some fire support too. So when I say all grots, I mean also like cans, mech guns, but that would still be awesome. The Big Dread. Yes, the Mega Dread. Yeah, I got into batch painting, doing a squad of boys recently, and it was at first it was meh. Next minute I was enjoying it. Yeah, it's funny because I always hated doing batch painting, and I think that comes from either maybe it was just the beginning of my journey, right? Maybe it's just because my skill set wasn't there yet, or maybe my first armies were all Space Marines. Maybe I just don't like painting Space Marines. Like my first armies and my first commissions were all Space Marines. Maybe it's just that I don't like batch painting Space Marines, because grots and boys I did no problem. Admech, it was a little bit of a slog, but eventually I found a rhythm. And then guard, now it seems to be fine. That's the curse. You'll always have more models to get and paint. Absolutely. But man, it's just knowing that I had the opportunity to get like such a good deal on those boys, and I shut it down. Like I'll never need those. Never. What's that song from An American Tale? Never say never again. Okay. We're going to set Big Chongus back here a little bit. Space Marines are more of a chore, I've found. Not as many fun bits. I like skin and clothing and different bits and pieces. It's funny because the Guardsmen I've been doing, for all intents and purposes, are similarly in design. Like obviously they look a little different, but like in the way that they're armored, are armored kind of similarly to a Space Marine, as far as the plates and greaves, and even down to the shoulder pads and everything. Like they're similarly armored to a Space Marine. But I just don't find it nearly as much of a slog. I don't know. I think, though, because these are like half the size of a Space Marine, like it doesn't feel as bad going in and trying to, find little details to paint, stuff like that. Being that they're half the size of a Space Marine, if a detail's small enough, you know, heck, if it doesn't stand out, I might not need to paint it. I want to get some guard because I like faces and they look super fun to paint. Yeah. And it's funny because I thought for sure all of my guard were going to have helmets, and I've been working in more and more unhelmeted faces than I expected, for sure. Also, I think one of the things I love the look of, but absolutely hate painting, and it's such a simple detail that makes me that adds to the slog feeling. And again, it's so small that it really adds to the slog feeling of Space Marines, I think, is the pauldrons on the Space Marine, because there's always that little lip on the edge of the pauldron, and if you paint that a different color than the inside, it is so hard to get that neat and not okay, here we go. Like here, for instance. That's not my freehand, by the way. Don't give me any credit because I can't freehand. If I freehand, it looks like Stickman. Henry Stickman. All right. But yeah, like, okay, doing the outside in the pink here versus the creamy white of the inside. Okay. It is such a chore getting the inside smooth and getting the color on the outside, right? But then I can't leave it there, okay? Like if you look at the detail, and Richard from the Nerd Life did this, you can see Richard did a great job. There we go. The inside lit rim there, the pink goes all the way to the bottom without disturbing the white. The white of the flat part doesn't cross over the lip any. It's very nice looking. It is such an easy detail to mess up, and that drives me crazy. And I legit stress out about it. By the way, while I have this amazing masterpiece here, shout out to Brother Richard of the Nerd Life, who a few years ago painted this up to donate to a cancer charity. And so we've got a cancer ribbon here. Look at that freehand, baby. Look. And I think what he ended up donating to was part of the American Heart Association, so he did a heart on the other side. But yeah, really cool model by Brother Richard from the Nerd Life. But yeah, so it's like the pauldron seems like such a small detail. And to be honest, there are a lot of people who don't bother to paint the inside of the pauldron a separate color from the rim. I just do it because I think it looks good when people do it. But then I always mess it up. Like that little lip always gets me. It's The Spider-Man I was painting was tiny. My brother had Marvel minis, and damn Spidey was so small. Oh, yeah. That looks super cool. Love it. Thank you. Well, I mean, that was Richard. I don't know why I'm saying thank you. I thank you on Richard's behalf, I guess. All right. Speaking of batch painting, I've been working on these guys. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 comms officers. These are part of my Kriegmus vow over on Mordian Glory's channel. Oh, it's over here slapping the camera. I apologize. Can I put this somewhere? If I try and put this somewhere, will you? Up. That's not what I wanted. Okay. What if I try switching over? Nope. Don't mind me, guys. Just messing around with the stream. Okay. Anyways. So yeah. So these are part of my Kriegmus vows. It's like a little painting event going on over on the Mordian Glory Discord. And basically, each of the regiments, vows a certain number of models and certain number of points that they're going to paint up. And basically, if they achieve their vow, that's more points awarded to that regiment. But if they fail to meet their vow, then nothing that they've painted counts towards the vow for their regiment. Of course, I'm representing the Cadians, so I've got 7 comms officers here for my guardsmen, 4 sergeants. These are Cadian shock trooper sergeants, and I decided to go with the drum-fed auto rifle because they can't take the plasma pistol, and so I'm just giving them some extra DACA. Low quality shots, but because normally I'm auto wounding on 6s anyways, they don't have to be quality. They're just going to be extra wounds. Because if I have, all 4 sergeants putting in 3 shots apiece, not 3 shots. It's a 2 with rapid fire 2. So potentially 4 shots apiece, 4 sergeants, talking about 16 shots, and they're auto wounding on 6s. That's a good handful of extra saves I'm going to be forcing my opponent to take. So, my brother, Darklight Dreamer, good to see you, brother. Will you be streaming tonight? Have you already started streaming? Have I missed it? I know sometimes you stream on Fridays. Good to see you, brother. But yeah, these are all part of my Kriegmas vows. Earlier this week, or maybe towards the end of last week, I think it was last weekend, actually. This is not the box I thought it was. I have too much stuff scattered around. Anyways, the actual damage dealers, like las guns, auto guns, they're just chaff shots, really. I mean, they might take out a few cultists. I might get lucky and plink a few wounds off of something. The auto wounding 6s definitely helps. But the actual quality damage, the melta guns and plasma guns, I painted up. Finished the painting up last weekend. Got them based and good to go. So these are the next set. And I painted up 7 melta guns and 3 plasmas. And also 3 grenade launchers. Even though grenade launchers are really not great in this edition, they look cool, so I painted up a couple. After the latest updates, I have like 400 points to add to my Space Wolves. I need more aggressors. Nice. Yeah, just about everybody got more stuff to take in their lists. Although I made my half dread list that I told you about. I'm taking to the birthday party next weekend, and my points turned out to be about the same. I think I may have even had to cut something or something like that. They were very similar. So I didn't really save on any points, but because it all fits in one detachment now, I don't have to take 2 patrols. I at least have, twice as many command points as I was starting with. So that'll be cool. This time I am leaving my boss on. I'm taking Gaz and Makaria as always. I'm leaving the boss on Squigosaur at home this time because it's been a hot minute since I've run my boss on Warbike, and I think it's a cool looking model, and I haven't brought the motorcycle out in a while. So I'm going to have Gaz doing the wah, because Gaz has the cool double wah. And aside from that, I think I'm just going to be using the war boss on bike as kind of a moving support platform to back up the dreads. And yeah, it's just some extra punchiness. Because, I mean, with orcs, extra punchiness never hurts. All right. I've had these models just sitting here for a hot minute. And I called this a painting stream, so I guess I should do at least a little bit of painting, huh? Just got home from work. Nice. When in doubt, punch it more. Atlantis. Nice. Oh, another thing for my poke chat this week, some hobby goodness. This was D&D week. There we go. And it wasn't as crazy of an episode. Well, okay. I mean, it wasn't as crazy as the last couple episodes have been, because the last couple episodes have been super crazy. But I mean, there was still some craziness because, we went to hell. No big, just went to hell. That's all. By the way, I know I am on a painting stream, but I am using the old trusty dry brush technique. Definitely not a pro painter here. Especially, like I said, these guys are smaller than Marines, and so I find sometimes the simple tricks work best on the smaller scale for me. So what I did earlier was I started with black. I used my orc colors, the Waflesh and Warboss green. So I start with a couple layers of a thin down Waflesh. Then I use a 50-50 with that and the Warboss green, and then a very thin Warboss green. And then I wash it all down with an Ethermatic blue, super thin down. And that gets into all the little recesses here and gives a little bit of that slightly bluish tint. I've always thought the traditional orc skin colors look really good with a little bit of a green wash and tint to them. And now I'm just, we shade it down and then we brighten it back up. And that's all I'm doing. I'm catching some of these corners here and like the round part of the shoulder trim with the edge of the dry brush. And just bringing in a little highlight to some of these places. They look great, dude. No, thank you. Less chaotic, but a few big story beats. You're absolutely right. Just got on to say hi. Happy birthday to Atlas. I need to lay down and sleep some more. Of this COVID is kicking my ass. Man, feel better soon, brother. Feel better soon. Freak has had it twice now, and he said that because the COVID really kicks your adrenaline and stuff like that into fight or flight mode nonstop, that he was recommended to take some melatonin, and that kind of helped shut off his adrenaline production, and it helped him finally start to heal faster and get some rest. So might be something to look into, do some research, get some consideration, and feel better soon, brother. So when we last left off, I had grabbed our young exorcist, our young church member, Lantis, and used the ability Dimension Door to teleport to the throne room and make our case because, he said the only thing that would help clear our name was if, we would manage to find the real Lantis and bring him here with quote unquote all due haste. And so we found him. Now I was supposed to kind of do this discreetly because, the knight that helped us escape, the paladin that helped us escape, was concerned that maybe her sister wasn't being herself and maybe some dark forces were at work here, and that maybe her sister had fallen a little bit to chaos, and she didn't want her sister to be executed. So she's like, hey, can you help me fix this on the cool? But what I did was I teleported to the throne room, and her sister, afraid that we were going to expose her secret, immediately ordered us executed. And so to save my own skin, I spilled her secret. And, brought forth evidence of her corruption. Good night, Brother Steve. You have a great night, and I will catch you later this weekend. The whole can we do this on the cool thing, low profile. The low profile thing did not happen. Also, when I teleported into the throne room, I accidentally teleported on top of a guy and he may have exploded a little bit. Terrible, terrible thing. I told them it wasn't my fault. That, you know, there were goblin magics around, warp was in flux, all that kind of thing. I made it very technical. And then they tried to determine if I was telling the truth. And I'm a tiefling warlock, so I've got buckets of charisma and deception. And so I think I had like a +9 for this deception roll. And they were like 100% believed. I rolled a nat 20, by the way, with my +9. So they were like, oh yeah, the warp is in flux right now. Yeah, the goblin. Yeah, we don't usually even let them in the city. Then I turned it around on them and told them, wow, for a church order, you guys are kind of racist. And then later on, they were like, something else had come up. I think it was because of demons or something like that. They were like, aren't you the one being a little racist now? And I was like, well, I can be racist. I don't run a church. Lantis did a cool, helpful thing too. Absolutely. First of all, for my ability to lie, he had blessed me earlier in the episode. And so all of my rolls also had a +4, naturally. And also, when we were able to expose the possibly corrupted paladin, he cast a zone of truth, and he managed to phrase all of the questions in a way that she had to respond with a direct answer, and she couldn't lie her way out of it. And he was very on top of her wording to make sure that she either directly answered or did not answer at all. And whenever she tried to sidestep a question, he's like, why can't you say the words? Why can't you say the words that I did not do this? Okay, so dry brush may not be the most pro. You know, some people have strong feelings about dry brushing not being a true highlight or whatever. But man, I think it's really making the folds of that coat pop out a little bit. Look at that. Look at that. I think you're definitely able to see some extra definition in the coat. Look at that ass. You can clearly see an ass in that coat. That's it. That's what you guys come to the stream for, highlighting asses. So yeah, between my charisma and Lantis's exquisite interrogation techniques, we managed to get her arrested. But then also because I exploded a guy, we got a little arrested. Not necessarily arrested. We got nice guest quarters, but they did lock us up in these nice guest quarters a little bit while they sorted out what was going on, which is understandable. I mean, a man exploded. Also, you know, the lady was like, these guys are lying and trying to get me arrested, and, you know, they're heretics. And just because I'm a tiefling and I look like a demon doesn't necessarily mean I'm a heretic. Only a little arrested. That's right. We only got a little arrested. It was fine. So also, when the one knight had let us go, earlier, when we were like, hey, go find the real Lantis and come back, you know, the real exorcist and come back. We had worked out a deal. See, the exorcist and I needed to get to hell because my daughter is being held captive there by one of the princes of darkness, or one of the kings of hell, and his master, you know, the head exorcist. He's also apparently been imprisoned in hell for years now and is being tortured daily, that kind of thing. And so, you know, they need a rescuing. And also, not only is my daughter in hell, but apparently
My baby mama is there as well. So, I have a lot of, we've got a lot of rescuing to do down there. And so, we had made this arrangement with the church. Oh, and if that wasn't complicated enough, I may have, those of you who have heard my D&D stories before, we had made allies with a Viking village and become, like, we'd done so many quests with them and earned their trust so many times over. We were officially invited to be part of their clan. Well, the Jarl of this clan had stepped down from his position as king and basically had gone on a blood crusade, to avenge the death of his son, who was killed in a war that was started by some vampires and the kingdom that we're in right now. And so apparently they had made it to this kingdom a little bit before we got there, gotten themselves captured. Only 3 of them had survived the onslaught, and they were to be executed at dawn. One of our friends, played by Richard at the Nerd Life, played a ranger who snuck out, managed to find them, and they were like, "No, we're taking this death. It's a good death. We failed our blood oath to get revenge for my son." So they were. Oh, by the way, they're not only Vikings. Turns out they're werewolves too. I feel like he's trying to force my master to open a way to our world to let his legions through, possibly. That is something I didn't consider. Huh. That it's well thought out, brother. All right, got some little highlights going on now. Just kind of pulling back some of that wash and bringing some of that brightness back. Green and black, that's how my Cadians do it. Brother Roxas, yo! What a baby! So, apparently, our Jarl's execution was supposed to take place around the same time as the church, who, by the way, had decided to honor their agreement with us about, sending us into hell. Not only to hold up their end of the bargain and because they believed our exorcist was on, his own holy crusade, but also because, by showing up in the throne room and exploding one of the guards and being there when the assault took place on their castle and uncovering the conspiracy with Dark Atlantis and one of the potentially corrupted Rose Knights, they just felt like it would be easier to get rid of their headaches right now if they just let us, sent us on our way into hell and good riddance, basically. That was their answer. They decided to honor their bargain as a good riddance to us. And so they opened the way to hell and basically was like, there you go, was ready to toss us out. And so it was interesting because it turned out the church had to do an apostate's blood ritual to get us to hell. That was interesting that they even knew the ritual to do it. And Lantis tried to pray there. He, like I said, he's an exorcist in the name of Helm. And apparently the magic in that area, this area of the Blood's King, the King's Castle, is so soaked in dark magic and blood that they encouraged the priest not to pray there. They encouraged our exorcist not to pray there. It was interesting. And also the Rose Knights, this very holy order, serves the king, who has this room in his basement that is saturated in dark energy and blood. So I think it was no coincidence that he accidentally found himself working on the same side as the vampires in this war. But that's none of my business. So anyways, that was kind of a cool revelation. Tying back together some story arcs from like way earlier in the game. So it's like, we're going to have to come back here and finish whatever that is at some point. Never know when you need to execute some fools. Oh yeah, and they had prisoners on hand for this blood ritual, just ready to be sacrificed. So yeah, it was a little too convenient. But just before that, um, while Lantis was talking to a couple of the head Rose Knights who were starting the ritual, I dimension doored away. I had my fairy go put visual confirmation on the Jarl in his execution, and just as they were setting him up for the headsman's axe, I activated Dimension Door, teleported to him, and pulled our Jarl, who was like half werewolf transformed, into kind of a Krynos form, and pulled him through the Dimension Gate with us, and then we went to hell together. So, man, I have only had, like, we just leveled up about 2 sessions ago, and we've played 2 sessions since I got the spell Dimension Door, and it has come in clutch twice now. And so, yeah, we have an extra high level werewolf, well, kind of, has our back as we go into hell. Or lawful good Lantis was not okay with this execution room. Yeah, he was not having a good time. Also, he's playing a very young character, almost an anime protagonist, because he still should be an apprentice. He's only like 16, and he was kind of thrust into the full-on exorcist role when other exorcists disappeared, including his master, who was the head exorcist. And so they're like, "You're the only one left. Congratulations, you graduated." Yeah, the prisoners are all in like a glass container. Emergency blood sacrifice, break in case of trip to hell. Oh man. Yeah, and so young Lantis, yeah, congratulations, you've been promoted. I'm 16. Yeah, he moved from apprentice to, title, the exorcist, like a little too early. So, yeah, he hasn't seen nearly all of the dark things the world has to offer, especially in his line of work yet. And he was just kind of like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we have blood sacrifices." We do? It was a very emotional day for our exorcist. So, when we got to hell, the Jarl's beast was gone. He was no longer a werewolf. In fact, he was having trouble remembering any of the stuff that happened while he was in werewolf form. It's like the beast completely left him. So that was also another interesting revelation. All right, we're just going to take, there are some metally bits on the helmet here, like visors and stuff like that. Of course, that is going to half focus. We're going to have to work with half focus there. Okay, so there's like some metally bits there on the visor and stuff like that coming over the eye. We're just going to black undercoat it so that way we could put down some silvers, and it'll help our silver stand out more than just trying to put the metallics on straight over the green. But yeah, and so it was pretty crazy. And thankfully, our tank, the Dragonkin Rune Knight, had a spare sword on him from one of our recent boss fights. Gave it over to our Jarl. And we were like, a couple of us were like kneeling, like, sorry to take you away, my Jarl, but, this was not the death you deserved. And if you want to see your son in Valhalla, you should die a good death in battle, not on some executioner stage. And like I said, he was having trouble remembering anything from when he was wolfed out. So he was like, I don't really know what you're talking about, but okay. So yeah, the Jarl's not quite himself. You can obviously tell he remembers some of the things because he's still, upset, sad. He's still in a dark mood, but he's not entirely sure exactly what's going on. He does remember he trusts us. He's traveling with us. He knows that, we're taking him to a worthy fight. But beyond that, he's been very kind of quiet and standoffish. So I wonder if it is like similar as when you cure werewolfism in Skyrim, where they describe it akin to waking up from a dream. Where like a where the part of you that was beast before no longer exists. It's like losing half of yourself. Or as Darklight so eloquently put it, in a way that you have to hear it in the singer's voice. I'm half the man I used to be. My apologies, fam. Y'all know your wolf brother loves to sing, can't sing a lick. So we get to hell, and it is similar. In fact, it looks exactly like the throne room, or not the throne room, the sacrifice room in the castle that we just left, except like all in shades of like grays and dusts and rubbles. Killian, what's up, my man? I hope you're doing well. Just painting up some guardsmen here in some green and black, kind of similar to Dark Angel's colors. And except there's no doors here, and so we just basically go through whatever wall there used to be a door in, at least before we crossed over. The dragon smashes down, our dragonkin smashes down the wall, and we come out into a little village of like regular looking peasant people. They don't even really look like, some of them have like some vaguely demonic looking features, but they don't look like actual demons. Some of them are tieflings, some of them are orcs and goblins, but they basically just look like poor people. They're all in rags. They seem normal. Some of them are quite nice. And because we're in hell, our dragonkin assumed that they were all evil and just kind of broke through the wall, was threatening everybody. And I pull out my sword. You better start talking and telling us where we're going for this, that. I'll kill every single one of you. It was very aggressive. And one of the main lady who would talk to us, it turns out she's the mayor of the town. And she was like, I really don't know what you're talking about. I really can't help you. Please put your sword away. He's like, I'll kill you, demon. Yeah, it turns out she's not a demon. She was born in this town. This town happens to be in hell. In fact, this town is protected by like a little bubble area that keeps out the monsters of hell and the demons and stuff like that. So, yeah. Possibly because of where it's located, and because there's a door to the earth side of things, maybe that's why this is a protected place. I don't know. We ran into Brother Oni's character, a human barbarian with amnesia, but has hunted in the wilds here, gone out beyond the bubble, and is currently looking for a way to get out of hell. He's currently looking for a get out of hell free card right now. And basically, if he shows us the way to get to the king of this hell, and you know what? Every time we're in game, I remember because it comes up. But anytime we're not in game, I always forget the name of this prince or this king of hell. But yeah, so basically, if we promise to take him with us whenever we leave hell, then he'll be our guide. He power leveled in hell, grounded straight to level 10. Oh yeah, we are level 10. All right. One more level and I get 3 for 1 Eldritch Blasts. So yeah, it was cool. We got to meet Brother Oni, and we'll be working with his character in the future. That power level in life. I feel like it should be that meme of when your guild runs you through high level dungeons to power level you, and he's just chilling there. A beginning character, level 9 in hell. Oh yeah, we found our guide took us to a blacksmith there, and basically the blacksmith doesn't hammer stuff out of natural materials. She forges things out of demon parts and basically reshapes their ether into things that we need. But we got to make payment, and money doesn't work here. Coin has no value in this place. And so basically, we've got to find something of magical value. And I wasn't ready to part with any of my magical items. So, it's a good thing Eldritch Blast does all of my heavy lifting. But yeah, apparently we're going to need new gear or for any of the equipment-based classes anyways, because our weapons won't have that great of an effect on demons in their own realm. Also, as a warlock, you have to pick who provides your magical powers, right? Hey, my brother. These are the Wargames Atlantic Eisenkern, and that I've been using as all of my Acadians, and been working on. So when I first modeled them, I guess I was so eager to get people on the table, I forgot to assemble comms officers for my squads, and so now I've got a comms officer for a Voxcaster guy for each person in the squad. So I'm doing 7 of them right now for 7 different infantry squads. And for the ones that'll be Cadian shock troops, these are Spellcrow sergeant bodies with the jacket and whatnot, and with the little felinid heads. And this is a Wargames Atlantic with the drum-fed autogun. So working on the sergeants and the comms guy for the Wargames Atlantic stuff. I suppose the coats and the legs come from Atlantic Wargame. I mean, from Spellcrow, but this is mostly Wargames Atlantic stuff here. I love Wargames Atlantic stuff. The only thing is I like the look, the classic look of the great coats, and that's why I decided to get my sergeants from Spellcrow. Bill, good to see you, Waylander. Thank you, Gamecraft Dragon. I got a demon staff. Maybe I should call it an anti-demon staff as a holy man. Okay, so yeah, the lady, she rips the ether out of these demon parts and makes them into weapons that will be good at fighting demons, right? And so, anyways, Lantis traded a rare magical item, and she took a demon part out of her bag of demon. She had like a bag of demon body parts that hunters, like our friend, the barbarian tour guide, they would go on hunts and bring back demon parts and stuff like that. And so she uses them for stuff like that. So, anyways, when Lantis traded his magical item, she reached into this bag, pulled out a big slab of demon, and created a monk staff for him, basing it off of a plain wooden quarterstaff that he had as a monk. And he accepts the staff, and she said, "Now with this, you will have the power to fight demons." As a monk previously, he'd just been using his fists, but they were like, "Yeah, you might want to get wraps or something, because I don't think you're going to want to touch the demons with your bare flesh." And so that's why he's using the staff now. So it's pretty excited because it's going to change the way he does combat. Having used mostly his fists up to this point. Anyways, she passes the staff on to him and says, "With this, you'll be able to fight, your enemies and the demons." He goes, "What shall I call it?" She looks at the bag of demon parts she just made it from and goes, "Well, it's the demon staff." And he's like, "The demon staff." And I could just imagine my warlock elbowing him and says, "I guess we won't tell that, to your friends back at the church." And he goes, "I mean, this thing fights demons, so maybe I should call this the anti-demon staff. Yes, the staff used to fight demons." And the lady was just like, I guess you can call it whatever you want." Got to run, but wanted you to know I was thinking about you. Thank you so much, brother. And I'm glad to hear that you're feeling a little better. I don't know if you're fully back to 100% yet, but I'm glad that last we talked that you were feeling better than you were before. Not going to lie, Afro-Caribbean skin is tough to paint and not look sunbed orange. Ah, what are you painting in such a skin tone, my friend? Using the staff, you still get to use your monk fisty dice. Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to see what cool stuff you'll come up with using the staff. Sam Wilson, Captain America. Nice. That is awesome. I knew he had a figure as the Falcon. I didn't realize that Crisis Protocol had a model for him as Captain America. That's cool. Atlas, my man. Soon to be birthday boy in 1 week. I was showing everybody earlier. I'm going to take this neat little pile of people I've been painting. I have this finally finished and painted up for your birthday bash next week. The Mega Dread. Look at that claw. Look at the claw. Rawr. Yeah, this guy's ready to go. I'm excited. Really pleased with the way the rust came out here. It comes as a double with War Machine. Nice. We were just talking about last night's D&D session, Brother Atlas. Yes, we were. So yeah, I'm excited to be bringing this big boy to your birthday party. By the way, I imagined hearing the bowling pins sound when I brushed all of the models to the side. Just that is cool. D&D was so good, and that orc looks ready for some chopping. It's going to do some crumping, all right, my brother. Let's see. The Dragonkin got his Rune Knight sword upgraded, and it, instead of coming out with like any demonic runes or anything, went through the same process. Lady put her hand into, the bag of demon parts, ripped out its essence, reshaped it, and it came out as an ebony blade. So that'll be cool to see how that goes. And Pickett, Brother Richard, our ranger, got a new bow. And of course, not many trees grow in hell, so it doesn't use arrows. The bows in this region of hell are actually enchanted to pick a random nearby object, like if you have rocks around, bottles, you pull back as if you're pantomiming, lining up a shot, and it will pick a random object and fling it at the speed of the projectile, which I think could have some great applications. Imagine, like, if you take some of the rogue tools, they come with like a bag of caltrops and a bag of steel bearings, and so you could just have basically hundreds of ammunition and just being like, because like each bag has like, what is it, 20 caltrops or 100 marbles. You just go into a big fight and just say, okay, I'm just going to open this bag and set it here. And then you could just be shooting people with sharp caltrops. Just does Pickett get a trophy if he gets kills a demon with a teddy bear? I was just thinking about that. What is that? That's there's a couple of games like that, but I'm thinking the portal gun or the gravity gun from Half-Life, where you pick up random things and shoot it. Also, I think the one you're thinking of might be the Fallout one, the vacuum gun with Fallout gun. So many references, but yeah, that's what it kind of made me think of. I think I'm the only one who didn't get any enchanted items. Oh, but interestingly, so I mentioned that my daughter was being held captive here. I'm tiefling, so I have demon blood in me somewhere. Also in Fallout, yes, nice. So it turns out the king demon in this region is actually my daddy. And when he captured my daughter, he basically brainwashed her and, is raising her to be where he tried to, he's like, where he tried to convince me to come be a prince of hell, and I turned him down. He seems to be brainwashing her for such a task. And so, that's going to be a thing. When I got to hell, apparently the frost turns out Methos' character is a demon lord in hell. Yep. I used the power of winter. Oh, yes. So that's what I got sidetracked earlier. Imagine spooging out caltrops with the power of a longbow. Exactly. That's what I think would be amazing. And like I said, you get like 20 in a bag. So yeah, you just open up your bag of caltrops and set it next to you and just start shooting at stuff with the bow. It'd be amazing. Okay, so as a warlock, my patron that gives me my powers is the Queen Mab, the Fey Queen of Winter. And in my story, basically, my mother was seeking refuge from this prince, or from this demon lord, and basically, as is the classic Fey price, the price was her unborn first child, and which was me. So I'm a servant of winter. Well, it turns out when we get to hell, There's a frost power that's taken over for the last few years. They're like, yeah, the bubble helps keep out the demons and the frost. So apparently the power of winter is rampant here. My fae, I have two fairy companions that accompany me. They have no power here, which is also suspicious. And when I tried to use my powers were amplified somehow. Again, seeming to have something to do with the fact that the power of winter is rampant here. And so, yeah, this is all looking somewhat intriguing. Lantis looks at the icy realm, looks at Methos' character, looks at the ice, looks back at Methos' character. Oh. As a Dresden reader, Mab is not to be trusted. Yes, actually, Dresden Files was a large inspiration when designing my character. Especially the whole, yes, we'll grant you safe passage at only the cost, and kind of how Harry's mom, or how Mab keeps Harry's mom, not Mab, the Lenanshi keeps Harry's mom safe. And yeah, Mab eventually comes to claim her firstborn child. Yes, it's good to know you're a fellow Dresden fan, my friend. I love those books. The last one really, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, so man, the last one really pulled at the heartstrings. But yes, that was definitely a big source of inspiration for me. Had to go back to all of these rifles I'd painted earlier because I found I missed a detail on one of them, and I was like, did I paint the stock of any of the other rifles? And went back, nope, I missed actually all of the stocks on the rifles. So yeah, since my powers are amplified here in hell, that's going to be is probably going to be a future problem, but B makes it not so bad that I didn't have anything to trade in hell. Well, nothing I was willing to trade. I have 2 magical items on me right now, and it's because I only have the 2, but they're big ones because I had traded away my magical items in an earlier episode. Am I the hip youngster using this? Am I using the hip youngster language correctly? Based? I don't know. Love the audiobooks. James Marsters is awesome. Exactly. That's where my wife and I own a lot of the books, 9 of them maybe, in paper form, but the audiobooks with James Marsters are my favorite way. He is in my, for all intents and purposes to me, the absolute voice of Dresden. Like hands down. Like I even when I'm reading a physical copy of the book, I read it in his voice, if that makes any sense. Weird. I was literally just talking about Dresden yesterday. Nice. Brother Rob from the TMP, the Miniatures Paintbrush. I hope you're doing well, my brother. Brother, I am super, super sorry. I am like super behind in your videos and need to catch up. And I fully intend to do that sometime soon. I apologize for being behind. Same with you, Brother Bill. I have just been behind at videos in general lately. It's interesting because I've been making more people's live streams lately, but I've been falling behind in videos, and I need to correct that on both accounts. I need to stay caught up with live streams and videos. So, yeah, that is basically where we left off in D&D. And so next we'll be venturing out beyond the bubble into the actual plains of hell. And there's a couple of places of interest. There seems to be a massive kingdom right in the middle of the map of hell. I think I'm going to do all the auto guns just out where the sergeant stands out. I think I'm going to give them red gun casings. Have that pop of colors to stand out. So that way, you know, it'd be super obvious which one's the sergeant. I only watch you guys, Hobby Corner Kev, Pickle, and Raven live streams. Oh man, I am so honored that we are amongst your elite few, my friend. That really makes me feel good. I appreciate that. No worries, my brother. Hopefully the videos are helpful. Man, I'm sure they will be, especially since one of your videos that I need to catch up on is about Fenris. Oh man, how can I be a wolf brother and not find a video about Fenris useful? Sorry, my hands are full, but I am listening. Just can't type much. Bro, that's absolutely fine. Glue on my fingers. Hey, are you getting your hobby on tonight as well, my brother? Also, I totally know the whole glue on the fingers thing. The basing here, I'm really proud of it, but because I didn't have my Vallejo basing, forest ground covering, I think it's their dark earth mixture. You know, I was kind of making my own with some super glue and baking soda combination, and also some sand and grit, and mixed with and some primer and chocolate brown craft paint, which the effect came out actually looking very much like my usual dark earth ground cover. But man, it was so much more work, and I just had so much super glue baking soda built up on my fingertips. It was a mess for sure. Yes, sir. Sent you some pics to your phone. Nice. You just inspired me to paint tonight. Thank you. We are also brother Superfly and I think Wybird are all going to be doing some painting together, just hanging out after the show tonight. If you guys are interested, we're just going to have an open chat, and you guys can feel free to jump on. Nice. Do I have any spare Ogren heads for my kit? I believe so, because I think mine all come with two options, the ones with the masks and ones that are bare. And so I'm probably going to use all the masked ones, so you can have the three that are bareheaded if you like. I like that you're using the las guns as the Ripper guns. So here, or the las cannons as Ripper guns. So brother Atlas is working on some Ogren Hey, that camera on phone action is actually looking pretty crisp. So yeah, he's got the slab shields on. He's got a storm bolter to represent one of the Ripper guns, las cannon, and that looks like another storm bolter, I think. Very, very cool. Oh, working on the Ogren tonight. That reminds me, Vallejo speed contrast paints are out real soon. Awesome. It's interesting because I started with obviously contrast being the first one down, but I've been kind of building up that collection slowly, and now I'm seeing a lot of really nice colors in the Army Painter speed paints range that I'm wanting to try. And because once I start a project with a one brand of color, for consistency's sake, I'll usually stick with it. And so, I don't usually branch out which colors I'm using for quite a while. Usually I have to wait until I transition projects. Again, just that little thing in my head that says I need to be consistent, Is anyone going to care that, my Vallejo red is going to look slightly different from my Games Workshop red? I don't think anyone's going to care. But in my head, I will see the difference and I'll be like, ugh. The last cannon is going to be a heavy weapon team with an Ogren carrying it across the field. Oh, that's awesome. I'm trying Sam Wilson capped with all contrast paints. Nice. So you were saying that kind of skin tone is tough to do without coming out all orangey. Have you found a good skin tone for what you're doing with Sam there yet? Also, Bill, my brother, are you up late or are you up early? Sometimes our UK friends come on and say, I haven't been to bed yet. And then some of them, like Elston, are just up before the first rays of the sunlight have even thought to awaken on that side of the pond. Up early, nice. Well, I hope you are rested and that you slept well, my friend. It's 4 a.m. Woof. That is super early. Any particular reason for such an early rise, my friend? I'm using Gore Gruntifer thinned to 2-to-1 with medium. It's okay so far. Ah, that's cool. Gore Gruntifer is possibly my favorite and most used contrast paint of all time, simply because it is my go-to leather color. Like, I find even though snakebite leather is their intended leather color, it's a little too yellowy for my tastes. And for me, Gore Gruntifer is just like that perfect warm leather brown that I like. Respect, brother. 4 a.m. Absolutely. Super early risers always impress me because I'm the kind of person that can usually stay awake for extended periods of time if I need to. Don't get me wrong, I love my naps, but I'm the kind of person that can definitely stay up late. I am never the kind of person that can get up early. No reason, just woke up and was inspired to paint. Nice. Well, when you wake up with inspiration, that seems like a great way to wake up to me. Definitely better than waking up with that, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be awake. God, I wish I wasn't awake kind of feeling. So I was talking earlier today with my brother Commodore from the Gamecraft Dragon. And Commodore and I were chatting about his Demon Prince color scheme he was working on. And he had the skin. I feel like I'm not getting enough rest. Have you maybe tried going to bed 8 hours before you have to get up? Lol, yeah, not going to do that. Basically me. Oh, man, I feel that. You have no idea how many times I wake up trashed in the morning and I tell my lovely Lily, okay, babe, tonight, okay, we're definitely going to bed by midnight, okay? No more last minute staying up watching TV till past an hour past our bedtime. We're going to be in bed on time tonight, okay? Not getting ready, not turning off the TV at midnight, not still got to take out the puppet, all that stuff. Not, it's 12 o'clock. Let's, whatever time the episode finishes after this, I said, no more. We're going to be in bed by bedtime. Never works. Never works. And then the next morning, I'm like, oh man, why am I so trashed? Now that I have to live without alcohol, all of my whiskey glasses have been converted into paint glasses. Sad day, sad day. This glass may never know the touch of Crown Royal again. Yeah, I think between the great coats and the red auto guns, I think these will definitely stand out a little bit from their counterparts on the field. Also kind of reminds me of, I know most of the artwork with Space Marines now have them with, black case bolters, but I know a lot more of the classic artwork, depicts a Space Marine with a red cased bolter, and that's kind of what doing these auto guns on the sergeants in red cases reminds me of, is that classic artwork of the bolters. Now, granted, I know when you have people walking around in the swamps all dressed in their olive drab trying to remain inconspicuous, these bright red guns may not be the most ideal, but it'll make me as a player be able to identify the squad leaders a little easier. Part of me wants to highlight this up to a nice, vibrant, like Evil Sun Scarlet. But if I take it too bright against that green, it'll look kind of Christmassy. Maybe I'll leave it as that kind of dark red. I don't know. Play around with it. $40K don't care. They have stealth marines bopping around in turquoise armor. That's fair. That's fair. Turquoise armor. That's like, 500 pounds of ceramite, but somehow super silent and sneaky. See, I always liked how with Corax, they at least spelled it out and said, that he was supernaturally stealthy and quiet. They express that there's something more than meets the eye here, how stealthy he is. But yeah, the rest of the Marines, they're like walking around in full plates of power armor, somehow super quiet. All right, now this is going to look terrible for a little bit, but I'm just undercoating for contrast. Even though I know it's one of those trust the process kind of things, there's a part of me that dislikes this stage of working on the models, because it's one of the few stages I feel like where putting down another color or layer of paint makes the process look worse. Because I never really paint with actual white. Like, it's so bright, it almost glows and looks a little gaudy on them, on the rest of my work. But I know it's going to change when I put the contrast paints as a filter over it. But until then, I'm just like, I'm painting it and it looks worse. But as they always say, you just got to paint past the part where it looks bad until it looks good again. It's when pro-acryl white leaps out at you. I still need to get some of that pro-acryl white. That titanium white. Going back to the earlier topic about you get comfortable with the paint, especially when you're in the middle of a project or whatever. The gray sear has been kind of my go-to white for everything. But when I see people like Pickle and whatnot use that titanium white, it does look great. I just need to give it a go myself. Big Mac Dan Skull. What is up, my brother? Good morning to you, sir. My fellow 365 challenge friend, originator of the 365 challenge. I am caught up for the month, good sir. I am on 31 right now. I don't know how long this momentum will ride, but I'll take it while I can. And number 1 was the big boy here, the Mega Dread. Whoa. See, I'm not the only crazy Brit up at this ungodly hour. The Mega Dread. Taking this bad boy to a game next Saturday. Boom. I need to get out of bed and clock it up to 26 with some Thousand Suns. Woo, man, Thousand Suns definitely seemed like a challenge during a 365 challenge because there's just so much detail on a Thousand Sun miniature. Mega Dread looks awesome. Thank you so much, my brother. Yeah, you guys definitely have mad respect because I can stay up late, but getting up early, that's a whole different challenge. I am unfortunately the roommate nobody wants to have because I'll set 5 alarms for the same thing. Because I know a sleep Methos is going to hit that snooze once or twice or 3 times. And I'm not trying to do it to annoy other people. It's just that awake Methos makes vastly different decisions than a sleep Methos. I'm up as well. Not sure about ungodly, though. They're heresy ones, but they do take longer than is ideal. Okay. Well, at least the heresy Thousand Suns aren't as covered in the bling as the 40k ones. I was just talking earlier about how with orcs and guard, I've become kind of comfortable with batch painting, but I think Space Marines maybe it's just my dislike for batch painting is Space Marines. Like there are just some details on them I don't want to do, especially in large batches. You know, like the pauldrons on a Space Marine drive me crazy because it's so hard to get that lip on the inside edge perfect. Have you tried gold primer with red contrast for Thousand Suns? I haven't personally, although the only Thousand Suns I've painted were dead ones on bases, actually. And I was going for the 40k kind of turquoisey color. I do remember seeing yours on, I think on Raven's show. And the gold primer, actually, I think it's when you and I first met. And I do remember seeing that the gold primer and the red contrast looked good, looked really good together. I get that. I still struggle with orcs in batches. I like them to look too ragtag for that. That's understandable. That is one thing I do. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things I respect about your work, but you've always made your orcs look way more realistic with having them have, you know, their clothing all a bit different, their skin all a bit different, you know, to work to make them look cohesive and different at the same time, you know? An actual war band like you might actually find of just a bunch of well, chaotic isn't the right word for orcs, but a bunch of bunch of rowdy orcs, not necessarily in a uniform. So I've always respected that. And not only different skin tones and clothing bits, but also sometimes, you mix sculpts, different heads, different looks. You make them more individual. That's the word I was looking for. You make individuals out of them instead of being all uniform, which are totally tons of respect for. The gold primer and the red contrast is exactly how Big Mech does his as well. Now, because some of these angles inside the greatcoat here are hard to get to, and I know that the Gore Grunta brown contrast is kind of a staining color, you'll notice I haven't painted the inside of the greatcoat in here. And that's because I know if I go ahead and do the inside of the coat and then I come in with that leather contrast, there's a good chance I'm going to end up staining the inside of the coat. So I'd rather it stain the black primer, and then I can go in there after I do my leathers and put the green down, no problem. That's a mistake a lot of people make with orcs. They're not an army. They're a rabble. Yeah, too true. Too true. And, I know that when I see other people make individuals out of all their orcs. But I don't know. There's a sickness I have for some reason where I'm like, I need them all to look similar. I need them to all be tied together. And so I try and get the matching skin tones on all of them. I want their uniforms colors to match. And I know that's not right for orcs. But I'm like, I need it all to match. But yeah, I know logically you guys definitely have the right of it. And I think a rabble is a good word for it. Lupus, they're not an army. They're a plague of bolter targets. What do you call a large force of orcs? An army? No, a target-rich environment. It may not be right for orcs, but if it's right for you, that's what's important. Thank you, my brother. Oh, Brother Atlas. Oh, I think I mentioned. Just in case I didn't, for those of you who are wondering where Brother Oni and Brother Freak are tonight and why I'm flying solo, Brother Oni has been at his local game shop tonight, taking part in a local painting competition. He painted up Gamora from Marvel Crisis Protocol and entered her in. He's not confident because basically he finished her off last night, the night before the competition. And I think he felt like he did a little bit of rushing. He says he didn't budget his time properly. So he's not feeling super confident, though I think his Gamora looks fantastic. And of course, we all wish him the best. he thinks the first place is going to go to a gambit he saw painted up, because they have, I think on Facebook, they have a page where they were posting up their works in progress or whatnot. He thinks first place is going to go to a gambit, although having seen the man's work, I think, Brother Oni's got a good shot at this. I think his Moar looks amazing. But yeah, we'll see how he does. Brother Freak, on the other hand, is not having as much fun. He's having a bit of a homeowner's emergency this evening. And yeah, hopefully, he gets that sorted as quickly and painlessly as possible. But you guys, any of you have dealt with it, this kind of thing before? Any kind of homeowner's problems are basically no picnic. It's a really kind of a when it rains it pours kind of situation too, because another one of his properties, one he was, renting out to his daughter, had a massive leak not too long ago, and now he's having yet another homeowner problem. And it's just, again, when it rains it pours. Poor Freak rolling ones. But yeah, hopefully this one is resolved, as quickly and painlessly as possible. I wish him the best. As do I, my brother. As do I. Waylander seconding. If it's right for you, that's all that matters. Nice. Got some amazing gents here this evening. Some of you will see that Brother Freak put out 2 videos this week for the amazing tank he painted for me. Ooh, I wish I had that at hand. I'm going to go grab it right now to have it sit next to my Guardsmen here. I love that he felt inspired to try matching my my paint scheme and paint it up for me too. That's amazing. I actually was just working on a list earlier to incorporate the brand new Vanquisher into my tank list. And the build I was talking about in the video that he and I were sitting together for, which, by the way, after doing videos kind of like over Discord or over Zoom for so long, it felt really good to actually like be sitting in the room recording a video together again. But yeah, the build I talked about in that video is what I'm working on so far. And I was rolling some dice earlier for that build. I've got a gaming table on the other side of this monitor. It's actually my wife's hobby table that she's supposed to have the space for candle making and stuff like that. And I've had the table up since around Thanksgiving for my birthday game. And I've played like 2 more games on it since then. So, having stolen her table for over a month now, I'm not being a very good husband. But anyways, I was rolling out the dice on that Vanquisher tank earlier, and man, being able to do between an average of 9 to 11 unsavable wounds pretty regularly in my dice roll. Now, there was a couple of times where I rolled a 1, used the free reroll, and rolled another 1. Every once in a while, you just whiff. And I'm sure it feels bad to have a whole 160-point tank whiff for a whole turn. But aside from the occasional whiff, man, being able to do a consistent 9 to 11 unsavable wounds from one tank is pretty amazing. Yeah, as a homeowner's problem, I needed to shut down my Chippendale studio for my garage. Apparently, it's frowned upon. Well, I mean, sometimes that's where you got to stick to your guns. Frowned upon does not necessarily mean illegal. You got to stick to your guns sometimes. There's this, the comedians Key and Peele have a bit where if you're on an airplane and the stewardess, shows you that the light is on and saying that you have to stay in your seat, and they do a whole bit about how it's company policy and getting up from your seat while the light on is frowned upon, and the guy's like, but it's not illegal. According to the FAA, it's just frowned upon. It's not illegal. And so he makes a point by stay standing the whole flight, and the turbulence comes up and she keeps asking him to sit down. And he's like, but if I want to stay standing, it's not illegal. And he gets to end up being thrown all about the cabin, because he's trying to make a point, but gets all thrown around the cabin during the turbulence. That's what it reminds me of. Okay, so you're saying I can't have this Chippendale State studio here in my garage because it's frowned upon, but it's not illegal. I can still do my dances. You think that'll work? That argument will work in my apartment complex? Sir, the neighbors are deeply disturbed, and they would really like you to stop the dancing on the balcony. But it's not illegal. On the boots, I tend to do an extra pass with the white before I put down my leather color, because I put the swamp basing around them, and I've noticed that when I make the leather on the boots a little extra bright, especially like on the tops of the boots and stuff like that, when I put my swamp basing down, the swamp gel from AK Interactive on top, if I make it a little bit brighter, that kind of warm leather color shows up through. It shows up through that swamp effect a little bit, and so you can really kind of see, the top of the boot sticking out of the surface of the water. I understand it's your policy, but I don't work for so and so. Yep, exactly. So I mentioned earlier, guys, that these models here, along with all the other things I've painted recently, have all been part of my Kriegsmas vows for Mordian Glory. I always overpromise in these challenges. So for my Mordian Glory Kriegmas, and I have till the end of February, so I don't need to panic yet. But for my Mordian Glory Kriegmas vows, I vowed 3 field ordnance batteries, 7 of these soldiers with meltas, 3 with plasma, 3 with grenade launchers, 4 sergeants with autoguns, 7 comms guys, and 2 sentinels, which one of them I've half finished. But I don't really like this 3D. Well, I don't know. Sometimes it grows on me. Like right now, I'm actually kind of liking the look of this 3D printed plasma gun. And then sometimes I'm like, I kind of want to just go ahead and get like an actual plasma bit. Today's one of those days. I'm liking it. Anyways, 2 of these plasma sentinels. This one is about, 60% done. So I've got 1 more that is still like unassembled I need to do. And 30 of my Catgirl Kazarkin, or Felinid Kazarkin. Also, because I've ordered so much from the Catgirl maker, they're usually they don't sell their combat medic kitty. as a separate piece. Usually you got to order one of their big murder squads or one of their command squads. Well, for Christmas, Brother Atlas hooked me up with most of the command squad. I've got the flag bearer I've already painted. Oh, that was another thing on my Christmas vows. I've got the flag bearer. I've got the last cannon already painted up. I've got the officer already painted up. And I've got the Master of Vox all painted up. And so I really just needed the medic. And since, I've bought a bunch of stuff for them and been posting pictures, they're like, yeah, we'll throw in a medic for you. So that's cool. So I've got one of those coming that I need to finish off for my Christmas vows. But yeah, so all of that. And out of all of that, I think I need to, after I finish these guys, I'll just have the 30 the 30 Kazarkin girls and the 2 Sentinels and the medic to go, and I'll have all of my vows completed. I've already done the field ordnance batteries. I need to do a showcase of those on my YouTube Shorts, little showcases. I need to show those off though, but yeah. So I'm actually trucking along pretty well. I've really been working through these vows. And because those are 30, like in one block, one go, 30 Kazarkin, that'll have me on track for February for the 365 challenge too. Man, I started to put away the white paint. Like, yep, I'm done with undercoating all my leathers. Oh yeah, there's all these guys I haven't done yet. Ooh, man. I was afraid that I was going to run out. I always get, okay, so we've been doing these live shows for couple of years now. And I always get nervous that when I do these by myself, I always get nervous that I'm going to run out of things to talk about without the others. But I always end up running my mouth for longer than I think. And like just now, I really feel like I haven't been painting that long, and it's already 10:30. We're only got 30 more minutes in the show to go. If you guys are interested, any of you, in about 30 minutes, well, minus a little bit of time, plus a little bit of time for a bio break. But we're going to throw out a Zoom call, and after the show, a couple of us are just going to be doing a little paint and hangout on Zoom. So I know Wybird is going to be there from the Chilling Wargamers group. Superfly is supposed to be joining us. Superfly checking in. And any of you who wish to, do a little painting and hanging out with us, get your hobby on together, you're welcome to join us. I'll throw you a link as well. And of course, I'll put up the link in our Discord and stuff like that. But yeah, anyone is welcome to join. Sweet. Very nice, my brother. Very nice. It occurs to me that if I had thought a little more clearly about the order of operations, I probably should have put down my known oils on like the metallics and stuff like that before doing the leathers. I'll just have to be a little bit more careful with my washes. Man, Brother Darklight introduced me to the comedy band on YouTube called Ninja Sex Party. And man, I have just been jamming to their song called It's Bedtime lately. And it's a funny song, but also, like some of these songs for supposed to being a comedy song, they're kind of rocking, man. Actually pretty good. Of course, being that even though, they're recent songs within the last couple years, they all have a very strong 80s vibe, I think, too. Really, really hits the right spot for me. The lead singer of Ninja Sex Party Corky and the Juice Pigs, great comedy band. I'll have to check them out. The lead singer for Ninja Sex Party, I was posting their, does a couple other songs with a couple other bands. I posted some of his work with them on my Facebook not too long ago with a couple of non-comedy songs, a couple of music videos that were really, really, really damn good. One called Magnum Bullets and one called Starlight Brigade. Also had a really, again, only a couple years old at this point, but also a really, really good 80s vibe to them too. Really, really well done. It was also cool to see that on a Starlight Brigade, one of the top commenters was a YouTube idol Markiplier commenting on their work, which was amazing. And the animation for those music videos is so well done too. A lot of great symbolism and stuff like that. I really, really enjoyed. I enjoyed the symbolism the first couple times watching it through myself. But then I was reading through some of the comments, which, by the way, if you enjoy something on YouTube, you should never go through and read the comments, because usually, the comment section of a lot of videos will take something you love and really just bring a whole bunch of unwarranted hate and rudeness into it. But anyways, it was really kind of cool because when I went through the comment section of Magnum Bullets, there was other people also talking about a lot of the symbolism in the music video and stuff like that. And they picked up on things that, I didn't even notice or catch. It was really cool to see. For instance, the music video for Magnum Bullets, a couple of friends, they come home and, or maybe not home, but they come back to this place, and a lot of their friends and comrades have been shot to death and killed by, this little local group of organized crime. And apparently it was a gambling place, and they took, the money from this place. And so they end up, going on kind of a Punisher style quest for vengeance against this organized crime. Actually, this kind of reminds me a lot of, the Punisher. Anyways, they end up going on this little, vengeance crusade, and just a lot of the symbolism there. It's just so good. At one point, it becomes kind of lost. This guy's kind of floating through, the bodies of, the criminals he's fighting against, but also the coins and stuff like that he's making along the way, taking down these criminals. And it's just you can tell there's a lot of guilt that this character is feeling on this little quest for vengeance here. almost a little pole of between you can tell there's some symbolism, like a pole between the money and his friends. Like, am I still in this for the vengeance? Am I here for the money? And anyways, when he ends up tracking down the crime boss, they start taking on the crime boss and his thugs, all together. And they kind of get separated during the fight. And his friends, the friends that he's on this little crusade with, they're about to be killed by the crime boss. And all the heroes of this story are marked with a tattoo of a certain shape, right? Like, one of them is wearing the tattoo of a star, and one's wearing like the tattoo of a square. And the person that the main characters lost was marked with like a tattoo of a circle. And anyways, so when he finally shoots the main bad guy in this music video, it's not about the money anymore. You can see as he lines up the shot, the bullet goes through like the shapes of the friends he's protecting. The square for the friend that's got the square tattooed on him, the triangle, the circle for the friend that they lost. It's like a lot of symbolism really went into it. And I know I'm just rambling right now. It's hard for me to express all of the symbolism, in the video, but it's so good to see the connections, the artistic quality that went into it. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking about this music video right now, because even though I know what I mean, I'm not making any cohesive sense out of it. So, and I'm suddenly very aware of how little sense I'm making. It makes sense in my head. Getting it through my mouth is not working. I'm a very eloquent man. Moving away from things like, symbolism, going back to this comedy song I've been jamming to called It's Bedtime. Starts with a child trying to go to sleep. And the lead singer's like, let me sing you a lullaby. And he pulls out a microphone and he's freaking rocking on the microphone and the guitar. And he's like, let my army of demons rock you to sleep. And there's like a demon with an axe, but that's also like a guitar axe. And they go into like this amazing guitar solo. And it's just like hardcore 80s style, rocking. And he's like, I can't help but notice you're still awake. Was it the guitar solo? Was it the demons? Yeah, I bet it was the demons. Yeah, people told us that before. It's a funny video, but also like it's got some great rock to it. Oh, I finished an Imperial Guard book today. So I finished. I was telling you guys before that I had read the Minka-esque novel, Katie in Honor, and I had read the Severina Rain book, Honorbound. This week I went back through, and I've been really crunching through these Imperial Guard novels, like a book a week or sometimes faster. This time I read I say read, I'm using Audible, of course. But I read the Minka-esque prequel novel, Cadia Stands. And it was also really good on one hand. But in true prequel fashion, they left out all the good bits, honestly. And I'm sure it's because I've seen this kind of crossover with GW books before. Okay, the lore for, the actual Fall of Cadia is in the supplement books, like the books where Cadia fell, and the great, I guess this was the intro to 8th edition or whatever, when Cadia actually first fell and the warp rift opened up and whatnot. And I know there's a reason they want you to go back and read the source material from the original 8th edition books. But at the same time, if you name a book Cadia Stands and it's about the fall of Cadia, I want the juicy history goss, okay? Give me the deets about the fall of Cadia. And it really kind of just glosses over from like the build up to the fall of Cadia, and then a little bit of the first battles, and then the ending, of they kind of like cut through like the majority of the battle, and they cut straight to, okay, well, it was the after days of the war, and Chaos had decided to hurl a whole Blackstone fortress at the planet, and now the planet's in shambles and breaking up. And it's like, what? Like, you left out the meaty bits that, involve the actual war for Cadia. And it even talks a little bit about the time jump. They're like, it had been 6 months since, the assault on Cadia started. Well, give me the 6 months. Give me the juicy details of, how Cadia fell. Plus, who's going to find those 8th edition source books now that 10th is on the horizon? Exactly, right? And so you've got this juicy lore that's in those source books that's 2 editions old now. You're absolutely right. Keegan, my man. What's up, brother? That's exactly right, Bill. And so I'm like, this book's supposed to be the fall of Cadia, and you're kind of like getting around the fall of Cadia, but you left out the big middle part where Cadia fell. Oh, man. And I know that this is an Imperial Guard book, and the actual fall of Cadia involved way more than the Imperial Guard. It involved the Navy and the Space Marines trying to stop the Black Legion from hurling a Blackstone fortress into the atmosphere. I know that, a lot of the big parts in the middle doesn't involve the Guard, but man, I still feel a little misrepresented here. Give me the juicy details. Instead, I got a high-level overview of, by the way, this is what happened. Like, that is the like. Don't get me wrong. I know it's a Minka-esque prequel novel, and getting some of the back details about her and her squad and how she made it off of Cadia and all that stuff. Those are good things. I like the character. I liked learning more about the Kazarkan captain Wrath, and how getting some backstory of him makes like some of their relationship together, not like a personal relationship, but like the relationship between the 2 characters together makes a little more sense, in their book once you have the backstory on them and stuff like that, and it's good information to have, and I enjoyed reading it, but I just I wish it wasn't set up to be a book about the fall of Cadia. It very much had some of the cardinal sins you think of. Oh, thank you, my brother. It very much had some of the cardinal sins of what you think of with prequel movies and stuff like that. Like, it's good to get this background information on this, but man, you wish you guys had done more with this. Got going with a nasty game of Zombicide with the kiddos. Well, if it was nasty, apparently some things didn't go well. What was the overall result? Did you guys make it out safely? Did you escape, Keegan? Yep. Missed a whole pair of shoes over here. One kiddo died, but the rest of you escaped. Nice. I mean, not nice that, one of the kiddos became zombie food, but nice that some of you escaped anyways. Okay, still got 12 minutes. So, at Elstination's suggestion, I was going to start Gaunt's Ghost this week, but then I noticed that there were like 12 books in the Gaunt's Ghost series, and I didn't want to break them up. So, I decided since there's only 3 books in the Minka Less series, I'd go ahead and finish that. And then I'll get started on Gaunt's Ghosts. And then I also heard as an Imperial Guard player, I need to read the Caiaphas Cain novels. So that'll probably be what I read after the Gaunt's Ghost novels. Well worth a read. Awesome. I'm looking forward to them, especially because while the rules aren't that great, oh man, the sculpts for Gaunt's Ghosts are so nice. I painted those up for Brother Atlas and his Desert Devils. And I am quite enthused that I had the opportunity to work on those sculpts. And definitely painting the models have me excited to read the novels now. And actually, he got those. I mentioned earlier, next week we're having an all-day 40K day for his birthday. Well, he got those models as a gift from his wife his last birthday, and I painted them up for him. So, yeah. This will be a year since he's had the Gaunt's Ghosts models. If you've read them, the Gaunt's Ghosts are very Sven Hassel and All Quiet on the Western Front. Nice. I've listened to all the Necron-based books now. I got to start somewhere else. The Infinite and the Divine was hard to listen to. I don't know if you have any interest in Space Marines, but the one from Indomitus has a lot of good back and forth where it'll be told some from the Space Marines perspective and some from the Necron's perspective. And I think the back and forth helps keep it interesting. Let's see. Hell Wintergate, Wolf Time, The Law. Indomitus. Yeah, that's the name of the book. So yeah, the name of the book is Indomitus, by Gav Thorpe. And it is like about the start of 9th edition. So when all the new Primaris stuff comes out with like the Blade Guard and stuff like that. And then also, like I said, it bounces back and forth. So you get some of the Necron's perspective of them taking over certain systems and stuff like that. And the Space Marines responding to them taking over the systems. And so it's and you also get some of the Necron, the power struggle between some of the Necron lords and stuff like that. And you also get a little bit of the interesting bits where, not all Necrons are the same. Like a lot of people, they see a bunch of tin cans, they assume all Necrons are the same. But you get to see some of the really interesting bits, like the destroyers are infected with a destroyer virus, and it makes them a little psycho. And because like they're infected, the rest of the Necrons look at them as infected, right? Their code is infected or whatever. And so they kind of treat them as infected, like they put like all the destroyers over here, y'all go in your own separate group. And, you know, they're basically like the berserkers, you know, like I'm not necessarily berserkers as in all melee. Some of them are melee, some of them are shooty, but basically they're just all about the killing and the death and, you know, all that good stuff. And so they're kind of like you other armies treat their psycho squads. It's like, okay, these are our murder troops. They're all psychos. We're going to send them off we're going to point them in a direction. They're going to go do their own thing. Let them kill all the people in that direction. Yeah, exactly. Berserker psychos go kill, kill, kill. Yeah, yeah. Kind of reminds me of like, you know, the psychos in Borderlands. They can be weapons if you point them at something, you know. But like some of them are not as basically gone in the mind as they think, and some of them still have their own schemes and plans going. And that's another interesting thing is a lot of people see the Necron as like Terminators, you know, from the Terminator series and like a whole hive mind kind of aspect. But they've all got their own agendas going on. And so there's like plots and schemes, and the Necron, like it adds complexity and depth and interestingness to the Necrons that for me wasn't there before. It's like, oh, okay, these are some bunch of individual peoples. And so it's like you're being attacked by the Necrons, but the Necrons are also kind of struggling within their own hierarchy inside the Necrons. You know, it's interesting. So yeah, it's a good book. I definitely recommend. I had actually never finished it because, as you guys know, I was like halfway through last year. Well, not even halfway. I think I started picking up Imperial Guard stuff with taxes last year. So around March, I dropped everything I was doing, and I've just been like guard. Guard and orcs are the only things that I've been basically doing for the last year since March. And so, yeah, I dropped Indomitus, and then before Indomitus, I was like on the last 10 books of Horus Heresy. I dropped Horus Heresy. I've just been like guard, orcs, guard. Yeah, some want to kill all flesh, some want to preserve, some want to make an entire galactic museum, and some want to go back to the flesh. It's cool that it's the fact that they're not all the same. There's nuances and layers. Definitely gives it a little more interest. I knew Gav Thorpe when he was writing codexes. That's awesome. That is so cool. I actually have a Gav Thorpe signed book somewhere in my collection here. It's either in one of these books. Actually, it's that one, Legacy of Russ. Friend of mine went to a convention at Warhammer World and had gotten this back when Warzone Fenris was still a thing. And basically, at the time, you could buy one of the books there at Warhammer World. They had a bunch on display, and at the convention, or I say convention, it was one of their Warhammer World events or whatever. They had a few of the different authors there, and basically, if you bought one book at the time, you could get a couple of the different authors to autograph. And so this one's autographed by Robbie McNivern and Gav Thorpe. And he said there was one more autograph he was trying to get me, but that person's line was too long. I was like, the fact that they stood in line to get me an autograph of Gav Thorpe is But that is the one book I have in my collection where I'm like, I try not to open the cover too far. Sorry for showing my noobness, but I take it he's a big writer. Gav Thorpe is maybe the biggest name in Warhammer novels. Another one of my favorites is William King. He's another good one. There's Dan Abnett. He's the other one I would say is maybe about the same level as Gav Thorpe. Dan Abnett and Gav Thorpe are, I think, the two biggest ones I know of. But yeah, William King is really good as well. But yeah, lots of cool stuff. And there's no need for there's no need to feel like it's a noob thing. I mean, just because you're like the hobby has so many different aspects. Aram Dembski Brown. Dembski Brown sounds familiar. I can't place anything that they've written. The Ron Burgundy of Warhammer novelists. Which one is Ron Burgundy? That's funny though. That escalated quickly. But yeah, there's so many aspects to the hobby. Some people are in it for, the modeling. Some people are in it for the playing. Obviously the game is where you came into this, right? Some people are in it for Gav Thorpe, nice. Some people are in it for the lore specifically. And even then it's divided. Some people who love the original Rogue Trader lore. Some people love the new lore. Some people are like Black Library only. So there's so many aspects to the hobby. Not knowing a novelist doesn't make you any bit of a noob, my brother. About my second year into Warhammer, I made a big push to start absorbing more of the Horus Heresy novels and 40k novels in general, just because there's so much lore in this hobby that you feel like you could never know everything. And I'm like, well, this will be my push to know that lore, And so there's so many things you could listen to lore on YouTube from, like One Mind Syndicate has very short and easy to digest videos that'll give you just lots of lore information. But there's also Baltimore, who has long form videos where he really goes in depth with lore. Sometimes he'll even take bits and pieces and write his own lore, or sometimes a lot of it's just like really dramatic readings of lore. It's so good. Both of those, if you go for like Luton for lore videos, I'm not familiar with Luton, but I might check them out. But yeah, so like there's definitely different styles there. I'm not sure which style Luton is, but like I know a busy person like you, Keegan, maybe on like a ride home, you could listen to like a couple of episodes of One Mind Syndicate. It's very small, easy to digest. I think especially for like someone newer in the hobby, those smaller, easy to digestible bites of lore are always a little easier to listen to and like really process the information. And they have so many things. Like you could listen to, they have a whole playlist of just Necron lore, and then you're like, okay, I want to learn about Space Wolves now. Boom. I want to learn about, I don't know if they've done any videos on squats. Like, I don't know if they're still making videos, but I mean, they might have a playlist for Voton nowadays. I don't know. I don't think I've seen anything new from them in a while, but I haven't been, yeah, I've had to listen to the book in bits. I've noticed, and I felt the same way. The newer I was, I had to take in lore and stuff like that in smaller bite-sized chunks. And then like now I can listen to a 3-hour lore bit from Baltimore, while I'm driving or washing dishes or, folding laundry or whatever. And it's no big deal. But, or I'll, like lately, I've been pushing through a whole audiobook in, less than a week. I think Luton has 4 videos just for the worst jobs in 40k. Okay, I know that series, worst jobs in 40k. I just didn't recognize the name of the channel. That's cool. Yeah, so there's lots of great smaller size bites. I definitely recommend as a new person. Yeah, check out Luton. I'm not familiar with them, but that's a great recommendation from Waylander. And One Mind Syndicate. Definitely check them out. They got some really nice, easy to digest bites of lore to take in. And that's how I started, because I started with my Space Wolves, and then once I watched all their Space Wolf videos, and it's like usually easy stuff like, here are 40 facts about the Space Wolves. And then they'll go into something specific like 40 facts about Space Wolf Dreadnoughts. And then, like I said, I got through all of those. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I want to know about Freaks Imperial Fist. And I listen to them. And then I'm like, now I want to know about Sisters of Battle. And, it's just like, you just keep absorbing more and more information. And like, It's really good. It just builds out your knowledge of this universe. And never worry about how much you know or don't know, because it is such a big universe. Like here I am. I've been listening to books and lore videos now for about 5 years. And I'm sure I feel like I'm relatively knowledgeable, but I feel like there's still so much I probably don't know. And also because I have massive ADD. And of course, I very easily focus in on the things that are interesting to me, and factions I don't play or have no interest in whatsoever. Like, I probably won't know anything. Like, Nurgle is very popular. I personally have never been interested in Nurgle. If anybody asks me any questions, I've somehow been in this hobby for, 6 years now, and I could probably tell you very little about Death Guard or Nurgle in general, except for the few books where they've been encountered as an enemy and the things I was listening to. So yeah, there's just always going to be more information to take in. So don't worry about how much you know or don't know. But if you are interested in knowing more, there are some easy places for you to start. Also, like I said, there is that book Indominus if you want to listen to another audio book that's got some Space Marine parts and Necron parts, so you can have a little bit of back and forth. That could be another good place for someone with your particular interests. All right, fam. Man, this stream has really flown by, and I don't know if I feel like I've gotten a lot done or a little bit done. On one hand, I did all the silvers, and I dry brushed all the highlights in for a lot of dudes, and I put down the base coats for the leather. So I guess... I just subscribed to One Mind, and Indominus is downloading. Nice. That's cool. That's very cool. So I guess I did get a lot of stuff done. It doesn't look like I've done a lot because it's spread across a lot of people, but I'm sure when we do our hobby chat later on, I'll get the leather colors down over the white undercoats, and they'll look further progressed and whatnot. And I'll start doing the highlights on the guns and stuff. So guys, it has been a great ride tonight. There's been some constant conversation, and I really enjoy all of your company tonight, because I can tell you, I know like I've been getting more comfortable with batch painting, but doing these many guys and not making it very many steps along would probably have felt like a chore if I didn't have good company. And having you guys constantly chatting with me tonight has made this a really productive and fun hobby session. I'm going to keep this going. Like I said, I'm going to take a short bio break, get myself a little snacky snack, get a fresh drink. In about, 10 minutes or so, I'm going to start sharing around links in Discord and Messenger and stuff like that. And anybody who wants to jump in on a Zoom, we'll have us a little hobby hangout. Fun hanging out, my brother. Thank you so much. Thanks for being along for the ride, and all of you. If any of you like tonight's episode, please make sure that you grab up an ox and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below, and feel free to be part of any of tonight's ridiculous conversations, lore heavy conversations. Some of these conversations have been ridiculous, actually. And if you guys are not yet subscribed to any of our friends in the link tree below, and if you're not subscribed to these guys, then we would all love to have you here as part of the pack here on the Frost and Fist. So give them a look, check out the links, and subscribe. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.